Hi friends, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Here's what we're discussing today. I am a First Amendment absolutist. In other words, I believe that the First Amendment should be extended as far as it can possibly be extended. The reason I believe that is that the remedy for bad speech is not less speech, it's more speech. When someone comes up with a bad idea, for example, taxing unrealized gain as income, which I think is a very bad idea, the way you defeat that kind of idea is to show what the consequences of it will be when there is something like a market downturn. Because all of the gain that you've been, taxed upon is now gone. Supposedly you can claim that as a loss, but again, you are still unable to recover the extra tax that you've already paid on it. It doesn't make a great deal of sense. So the way you defeat something like that, as I said, is not shutting down the people who propose that kind of thing. It is engaging in more speech and doing more things to essentially bring about the change that you wish to see. So I think it's really important to point out that the First Amendment only protects against governmental interference with speech. So private individuals and private institutions can regulate speech on their property. For example, if you come on to my property and post a sign that champions an idea that I would disagree with, I have every right to remove your sign and tell you not to plant it on there again. If you come and stand in front of my house with a bullhorn and start harassing me about something I believe in, well, again, I can call the police and have you removed because in that situation, it's not the government interfering with your speech, it is me interfering with your speech. Generally speaking, government cannot regulate the content of speech. All it can do is impose time, place, and manner restrictions. So, for example, time. You may only protest from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., no overnights. Place. You can only assemble on the south lawn, not on the north lawn. And manner. You can't make so much doggone noise that people in Indonesia can hear you. So those are the kinds of restrictions that the government can put into place. Time, place, and manner restrictions that are reasonable are routinely upheld. One notable example of time, place, and manner restrictions being upheld is in the case of Ward versus Rock against Racism, which is a 1989 case out of the Supreme Court. In that case, the United States Supreme Court upheld regulations imposed by the City of New York on a concert series held in Central Park. The regulations required the use of a city-provided sound system and designated sound technicians to ensure that concerts did not exceed certain noise levels. The regulations also required performers to use a fixed stage and provided a limited time frame during which the concerts could take place. So, Rock Against Racism sued, and essentially they said, you're violating our right to free speech. And the court ruled that the regulations were permissible time, place, and manner restrictions on speech. The restrictions were content neutral, meaning that they applied to everyone, not just Rock Against Racism. They did not target specific viewpoints or messages, but rather they focused on the practical concerns of managing noise levels and crowd control in a public park. The decision in Ward versus Rock Against Racism established that governments have the authority to impose reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on expressive activities in public spaces, so long as those restrictions are narrowly tailored to serve a significant governmental interest and have a way or leave open ample alternative channels for communication. Now, all of that is background for the recent protests at universities. Because it only affects governmental institutions, private universities can engage in viewpoint discrimination. Yeshiva University, which of course is a Jewish university, could forbid any content that demonized Judaism. A Christian college or university could outlaw speech, for example, that sought to advocate for abortion. And a private secular college could forbid speech that supported the state of Israel and encourage speech that supported Hamas if it wanted to do that. But state-run universities cannot do that. The regulations they impose must be content neutral, and they must be meaningful time, place, and manner restrictions. So how did the University of Texas at Austin call in the police? Because there was an encampment at the university. That violated the time, place, and manner restrictions. When they didn't respond to a trespass warning, the cops moved in and made arrests. Now later on, the district attorney dismissed all of the charges against the protesters, but they were off of the campus at that point, so for the most part, the problem was solved. Emory University in Atlanta is another example of a private school, and they told protesters they could not set up encampments. When they did set up encampments, the university called the cops, and the people were warned first, and then they were arrested. And that's perfectly legal, and if they fired professors for engaging in or supporting that conduct, that too would be legal, as long as it didn't violate tenure or other things that were promises made by the university to their staff. My view is that violence rarely solves problems. In most cases, it makes them worse. I want to be clear about one thing. Holding a sign, walking around, shouting slogans, chanting, all of that, okay, that's protesting. Burning cars, destroying public property, destroying private property, harassing other people, intimidating them, beating them, that kind of thing, that is not protesting. That is thuggery. The First Amendment protects peaceful protest. It does not protect protests that become other than peaceful. Now, this morning we know that the Hamilton Hall at Columbia University has been seized by the pro-Hamas faction, and that they have barricaded themselves inside and desecrated the building. That's not protest. That's a violent occupation. It should be met with an equivalent force of violence. Those people should be arrested. They should be thrown in jail. They should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, because that is not peaceful protest. I'll support people who want to walk around carrying signs, chanting slogans, doing the kinds of things that have traditionally been peaceful protest. I can't support taking over buildings and desecrating them, essentially engaging in vandalism. That's not peaceful protest. Violent protests, they make normal people hate the protesters and the cause they support. That differs from principled debate. Principled debate, where positions are supported by facts and difficult questions can be argued with passion and with nuance, those tend to be more effective ways to advance ideas and improve understanding. That's what the First Amendment's for. Sometimes people lose sight of why freedom of expression is so important. The free exchange of ideas and the right to protest are fundamental to liberty for several reasons. First of all, in a democratic society, informed decision-making is essential for the functioning of the government. So the government needs to have information, and the people who will vote for the people who represent them need to have a free exchange of ideas and their opinions heard. So the free exchange of ideas allows the citizens to express their opinions, share information, engage in dialogue about political issues, and that exchange makes the public more informed, and they can make more informed choices when they're electing representatives and shaping public policies. And the right to protest serves as a crucial check on governmental power. It provides a means for citizens to express dissent and hold government officials accountable for their actions. By publicly demonstrating against perceived injustices or abuses of power, individuals can push for change and ensure that government actions align with the interests of the people. And a good example of that is this mayor in Dolton, Illinois, Mayor Tiffany Henyard in Dolton, Illinois. The townspeople made noise, and they brought their protests to different elements of power. And now the FBI is investigating, and if there are crimes committed, then they will get involved. Social progress is also an important reason for us to have the First Amendment. History has shown that many significant social and political advancements have been achieved through protest and the free exchange of ideas. Among those, advocating for civil rights, advocating for women's rights, LGBTQ rights. Other social justice causes have relied on activism and open discourse to challenge discriminatory practices and promote equality and justice. Also, a society that values the free exchange of ideas fosters intellectual growth and innovation. When individuals are free to express diverse opinions and perspectives, engage in debate, and challenge prevailing norms, it spurs creativity, encourages critical thinking, and leads to the discovery of new solutions to complex problems. Finally, freedom of expression and the right to protest are essential components of individual autonomy and self-determination. They empower individuals to voice their opinions, assert their rights, and participate actively in shaping the society in which they live. Without these rights, individuals risk being silenced or marginalized by those who hold positions of power. In summary, the free exchange of ideas and the right to protest are fundamental to liberty because they uphold democratic governance, provide a check on government power, drive social progress, foster intellectual growth, and empower individuals to exercise autonomy and advocate for their rights and beliefs. These rights are the essential pillars of any free and open society. Now, as I've stated on here numerous times, I am an ally of the pro-Israel camp. Israel has been an ally to the United States for a long time. They're the only true democracy in the Middle East. They are not an apartheid state. In Israel, Arab Israelis can vote, hold office even in the judiciary, and engage their government with those who are Jewish. It is neither an apartheid state nor one that doesn't respect human rights. And Israel goes to much greater lengths than we do in protecting civilians in harm's way during battle. Does that mean I do not support pro-Hamas protesters having the chance to speak out on what they see as problems or injustices? No. Only by allowing those folks to speak out can we identify their factual errors and encourage dialogue and understanding. Does that mean I have to like what they say? No, and I don't. But I would defend to the death their right to say it because that's what the First Amendment is all about. That's what I have for you today. Hopefully you found this interesting, educational, maybe a little bit. If you have questions, you can stick them in. I hate it when I do that. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments down below, or you can email me at the address above. If you have a video request, please put in the subject of the email video request so that when I'm going through emails, I can see that and move that into a different folder. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. Especially thank you for all the great comments I've received recently and for all the new channel members. I greatly appreciate all of the support that I get through you guys and the feedback. It's been very helpful. Today, if you get the opportunity, do something nice for somebody. Today, my wife is working and she said, I'd really appreciate it if you'd go get me a soda around lunch. So even though I have to drive all the way across town, and even though the first place I went was out of soda, if you can believe that, I went and got her a soda and brought it to her so she'd have something to drink for lunch. The people you care most about, they're a really good place to do a kindness. It does help change the world too, I'm convinced of that. After you do a kindness or just one nice thing for somebody, come on back down here and join me at the beach tomorrow, and we'll talk about something else interesting. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.